Let's take a moment to just look at the screen, look at one another. Just taking in our sweet faces, even though we can't see Elaine's yet, but she'll join us. We're just looking at each other for a moment, Elaine. We've already come into silence, but just sort of saying hello to one another with our eyes and just taking in everyone's spirit and making everyone feel welcome just by saying hello with our eyes. So just take a moment to look around, taking in these sweet faces. And taking in what the Buddha says, that everyone just has that one big wish, which is to be happy and to be free from suffering. And that's true for all of us. And maybe as you look around, what comes through right now is just to maybe look at one face for a few seconds and just to yourself maybe say one thing that you're grateful for in that other person that you're looking at. Just taking a moment. Just taking in what we all have to offer one another in terms of wisdom and compassion as part of this group. And just let your eyes close now, gently, if it feels comfortable. And just take a moment to notice how you know that you're breathing. Perhaps noticing where you feel the sensations of breathing. And if you've come from a busy day, and even if you haven't, I mean, it's quite rare to find a person that doesn't have their nervous system charged in one way or another and living in this society. So we're just going to practice taking some even breaths together. So perhaps inhaling quietly to the count of 4. And then exhaling also to a count of 4. And just keep flowing in this way, inhaling to a count of 4. Exhaling to a count of 4. And just lulling yourself into this rhythm of even in breaths and even out breaths. If you want to energize yourself as you're doing this, you might add some sounds to the breath, like a yogic breath that comes from the back of the throat as you breathe in and out with sound. And just keep flowing like this for a few more rounds, really paying attention to the breath. And we'll do 2 more rounds in this way, if you can. And then when you feel ready or when you next breathe out, you can release this breathing practice and gently open your eyes again if they were closed. And we're just going to practice a stretch from the Qigong tradition, laughing Buddha stretch. So you might have seen that the statue of the laughing Buddha with the hands up. So we're going to turn the palms facing up and just right above our head, let the hands rest. And then with an exhale, we're going to press the arms up And stretch the elbows as best as you can. Maybe gaze up towards the ceiling. And then as you inhale, let the hands come back to starting position, hovering right above the crown of the head. Inhaling, reach up, maybe lift your gaze. Feel the nice stretch through the lungs and the chest. And then inhaling slowly back to starting. And just keep flowing in this way at your own pace. Just noticing the stretch through the arms and shoulders as well, the joints and the hands, the elbow. And just let the movements be gentle and at your own pace, directed by the breath. And maybe after a few rounds, it becomes a little bit challenging. Maybe there's more sensations building in the arms and hands. And see if you can just pay attention to that, just noticing the sensations as you keep moving in this way. And then with the next exhale, just let the arms slowly come out to the side and then gently settle back down. Just noticing the sensations in the arms and hands for a moment. Maybe there's tingling or vibrating. Maybe there's not really any feeling at all. Just notice what's there or not there. And then if the eyes were closed, you can gently open them again. We're going to inhale the arms out to the side. Feel the chest nicely lifting and opening. And then as you exhale, bring your right elbow underneath the left and then hook the hands together, kind of like in eagle arms. Stretch your elbows up to the height of your shoulders. And then feel that you're really sinking down through the hip bones, through the legs. Let the weight of the lower body take that part of the body down into your seat as you keep the arms up. And then we're going to breathe in deeply from the belly all the way into the chest, maybe feeling the chest lifting. And then as you exhale, keep the arms up and just let the shoulders relax and back, like the hips sink down. A few breaths in this way. And then on an in-breath, take the arms out wide again. Feel the shoulders stretching back. And as you exhale, this time the left elbow underneath the right. And then hooking the hands together in front of you if you can, lifting the elbows to the height of the shoulders. And just let the shoulders relax as you keep the arms and hands lifted up, allowing your sit bones to sink down into your seat more. Breathing your chest open with each in-breath, and then allowing the shoulders and buttocks to relax with each out-breath. And perhaps engaging your even breath again, counting in to breathing into a count of 4 and breathing out to a count of 4. Last round. And then on an inhale, the arms out to the side again. As you exhale, bring the palms together in front of you in namaste and just feel the touch, palms of the hands touching as you allow your shoulders to relax. And just noticing all the touch points for a moment, the palms touching each other, the feet touching down into the earth. the buttocks into the cushion or seat, and finding a softness in the whole body as best as you can. And then this time on an in-breath, we're going to reach the arms up again, spread your arms away from each other. And then exhaling the palms back together, bringing them down to the midline. Inhaling the arms out to the side. Exhale, palms together in front of you. Inhale, reach the arms up through the midline. Let the arms and hands separate. And then exhale, slowly palms together down the midline, back to the heart. Inhaling out to the side, open. Exhale back to the heart center, palms together. One more round in each way. Inhale, reaching up, allowing the arms to spread. Exhale, palms back together, down the midline, back to the heart. Inhale, arms out to the side. Exhaling back to the center in Namaste. And then just relax your hands down onto your thighs and slowly begin to move your hands down the legs and the front of the legs, coming into a forward fold, hinging from the hips. And just letting your head and neck completely relax. Maybe having the fingertips touching the shoes or the ground, wherever you can easiest reach. Just take a few breaths here into your lower back as you come into a complete forward fold. Imagining that you're filling the kidneys and back with fresh life force, with prana on the in-breaths. And then imagining that you're completely deflating the kidneys and back with each out-breath, relaxing out any toxins, any tension with the out-breaths. See if you can relax the shoulders down just a bit more. And then very slowly begin to walk your hands up the legs again. Bring the torso back up. Let your shoulders relax in back and just take in the sensations in the body now. Feeling the aliveness in the body from the inside out. And then see if you can follow this next guidance with your eyes closed. We're just going to tuck in the left hand underneath the right thigh, sort of in the center of the thigh. And then on an in-breath, we're going to lift the right arm up in front, all the way up. And then very slowly let your torso lean over to the left as best as you can. See if you can press the right buttocks down into the seat so you're not actually letting the right buttocks come off the cushion or floor. And then imagining that you're breathing deeply in and out of the right side of the body, that space that you're creating there. And then as you inhale, lift both arms up into the sky. Maybe let the palms touch for a moment. And then as you exhale, just lower your right arm down and then tuck that hand underneath your right thigh. Take one more in-breath here to really lift your left arm tall, lift the spine tall. And then as you exhale, we're going to stretch over to the right this time. So leaning your torso over to the right, assuring that both buttocks can stay connected into your seat. And then what would it be like to relax your right shoulder down a bit more? Can you release any more tension out of the eyes and facial muscles? And perhaps connecting to that even breath again, breathing in for 4, breathing out for 4. Last round in this way. And then on an in-breath, we're going to lift the torso back up, lifting both arms up into the sky. And then exhale, let the palms touch and gently draw the hands back down to the heart center. Just placing and folding both hands over the heart for a moment as you relax the shoulders. And relaxing the heart, relaxing the breath now to its natural rhythm as Z will take over and guide us in a seated meditation practice.
In your own timing, you can let your hands rest down. And if they're happy where they are, you can leave them there. Really see if your hands can rest. So bringing attention to the hands and just checking, is there any tension, any sense of holding? The hands hold so often and so much. Let's see if we can let go even more. Just feeling the sensations. Perhaps the more the hands relax, the more vibrant they feel. And then bring awareness to the sensations of your buttocks sitting. Perhaps noticing the sit bones, especially heavy, but maybe also the buttocks in general. And see if this too can relax and really sink down heavily into your seat. Sensing how it feels to be supported by the chair or cushion you're sitting on. How much you're able to let go into that support. And see if you can let go of the belly. Really just let it fall open. Release out and down. Holding on to nothing. Allowing the breath to move in a relaxed open space. And then bring awareness to the shoulders. And let the shoulders be heavy. Just let them go. And then finally, we can try to relax the face a little more, perhaps bringing a slight smile to the mouth and the eyes to create a softening, a lightness, a sense of ease. It's not that we're trying to send the message to ourselves that everything is perfect and wonderful and creating happiness with our smile, but just rather creating a space to hold whatever arises that feels welcoming. I can greet this with a smile, whatever it is. And you might just get a sense of the overall flavor of your experience, whether there's ease, tension, tiredness, restlessness, boredom, joy, sadness. Just see what's here. Just taking in what this moment is presenting. We feel the physical sensations of the body, and we also can feel our heart, our mind. And if it's helpful to you, you can create an anchor that reminds your awareness to be in the present moment. So maybe it's the feeling of the buttocks sitting, or the hands resting, or the breath moving. Doesn't matter. The anchor can be anything that always brings you back to this moment. And when we pay attention to one thing consistently over time, we notice how it changes. So you might just pay attention with a sense of curiosity of how each moment is new and unique and fleeting. This sensation, this thought, this feeling, none of it lasts. We practice in part so that we become comfortable with that, or at least used to it, so that we don't expect things to be fixed and suffer because they're not. And as we pay attention to our experience, we also notice how little control we have over things are happening on their own. And we are the witness. We're a passenger on this ship, not the captain. And you can see how that lands for you. To simply watch experience unfold, that ungovernability, anatta. And you might notice at times that you rub up against experience. You want it to be a certain way, to not be a certain way. Or maybe at times you're not sure what the experience is. You can just recognize wanting is happening, not wanting, not knowing. The beautiful thing is that in the moment that we recognize that that's what's happening, we're abiding in mindfulness. We're aligning with the truth of our experience. And that truth is freeing. And so we just sit and notice from one moment to the next, the ever-changing flow of experience. Beyond our control. And the way the heart and mind perceives and responds to whatever arises. Noticing that with interest, without judgment. Welcoming. relaxing again. Can you meet whatever is arising without any resistance? In this last minute or so, I invite you to bring your attention to anything that feels difficult. If something in your body is challenging, something in your mind, something in your life, bring your awareness to it. And then feel your breath in your heart. And feel the spaciousness of your heart as you inhale. And letting that space be filled with love, care, and kindness. And once you have established a sense of openness or welcoming in your heart, invite whatever is difficult to join you there and suffuse it with that care. Breathe into it and through it and around it, enveloping whatever is challenging with your love. Thank you for your practice. We'll take a break and see you back at 7:27. Try to stay mindful for the next 5 minutes.
So why don't we take a moment to let the word settle and just pause again. See if we can relax into this present moment once more. And then just open our hearts to the next part of the evening that we have to participate together in. And so just wanted to take a moment before we transition into that to apologize to Linda because I feel like something in the technical difficulty with me asking Z to turn off or mute themselves, and we're here in the same room. It just didn't come across very well in terms of trying to figure out how to ring the bell for Linda. So I apologize if that was not done in a skillful way. So we're gonna go back to the verses of the faith mind, and I think Z is putting up the next paragraph that we are going to be reading together. And
it's actually the one that we were on last time because we didn't, I don't think that we exhausted it, but we'll see if nobody has anything they want to say about this. We can certainly move on, but maybe we'll start with somebody reading it.
that sounds great. So you put it up in the chat? Okay. I can read it. When in harmony with the nature of things, your own fundamental nature.
Don't say the end.
Oh, you will walk freely and undisturbed. However, when mind is in bondage, the truth is hidden, and everything is murky and unclear. And the burdensome practice of judging brings annoyance and weariness. What benefit can be derived from attachment to distinctions and separations? So we're just going to take the time again to perhaps ponder the meaning of this paragraph, and when you feel when you feel ready to share, you can just unmute yourself and then mute yourself again at the end so that we know that somebody else can take their turn.
Something that I just read that made me smile. And that's just the first half of the first sentence. When in harmony with the nature of things, your own fundamental nature. I just like that I assume this is written by a he, yeah, that he is equating the nature of things with your own fundamental nature. I think that's really helpful. And somehow, like I said, it made me smile. How things are, the nature of things, that's your own fundamental nature. That's just really cool. That's all I wanted to say.
It seems like that when it talks about the mind being in bondage, it talks about the mind not being in alignment with one's own fundamental nature or nature in general. Although later on in the paragraph, it speaks about how judging brings annoyance, but I suppose that that is sort of what it's talking about, being not in alignment with nature when we fight what is here, what is the reality of the present moment. So it seems like it points to that. Any way that we don't want what's here or wish something else to be here. And I've thought about that and felt that a lot lately, of just how much, pretty much all the time when we're not in alignment with nature, how our mind is just so amazing to take in, that we spend so much time of our lives not wanting or wanting something else to be here, where we could be relaxing into the moment. And that's so easily, it's so easy to say when you're dealing with severe physical pain or fatigue or mental agonies, anxiety, fear, depression, or whatever it is. It's so easy to say, and yet at the same time it points to that, maybe that second error of when we add the suffering on top of that. Maybe that's really what this is speaking about in this paragraph. And maybe even when it says distinction and separations, of how we just make ourselves separate from that nature, and that's how we're not in alignment. When we separate ourselves really from ourselves and what's here in the moment, in the body and mind, that's when we suffer. That's just sort of coming to me in this moment.
Nice.
So
I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about the mind in bondage. I'm unmuted, so I don't know why you're not hearing. Is nobody hearing me? Is that what's going on? Or Lord have mercy. This is not going well tonight at all. All right. Try this one, say this one thing. I just don't think I should be talking. It's a feeling I'm getting. Okay, I would like to hear more about what that means when the mind is in bondage. How? What is causing that? I see the results being specified. The truth is hidden. Everything's murky. Judging is a problem. But what does that actually mean? It seems a very important phrase to just be hanging there without a kind of elaboration, I would say. That's all really I have. I would like to hear more on that. I mean, I certainly he would say things over 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times from different angles to illuminate his point. And here, I think that's probably a valuable point. I'm curious about it, but it's not so much with that. So I guess we're just supposed to all know what that means. I don't know.
I suppose it's possible that it has to do with the paragraph prior to that, when he's talking about attachment, having a narrow mind and being attached to enlightenment. I don't know.
So Z is gonna put that up for a moment, that paragraph.
So my my thinking is that yes, what Elaine is saying is true, and what Linda's saying is true. That there's all these explanations, ways of talking about how we suffer over and over again, and the paragraph before specifically speaks to things, and that comment on bondage might be kind of cumulative of the whole passage and everything that has been set forth beforehand, and or um, I'm looking at the word however, and it makes me think that he's juxtaposing when mind is in bondage with the sentence that comes immediately before that. So, when in harmony with the nature of things, your own fundamental nature, you will walk freely and undisturbed. However, when the mind is in bondage, in other words, however, when that is not true, when you're not in harmony with the nature of things, when you're not in harmony with your fundamental nature, and the mind is in bondage. So to me, it's kind of like the sentence is informed by everything that comes before, but maybe also just contrasting harmony with how things are in bondage. Because I mean, I know for me, when I'm not in harmony with how things are, it feels like bondage. It feels like I am restricted. I am really embroiled in dukkha. And when that's happening, you don't really know what the truth is.
I don't know. I might be making this even more difficult, but I think the mind, by its very nature, is is murky, and but you know, uh, but I was thinking earlier that in the way that people were sharing earlier, um, uh, both that it was the shares felt very authentic and kind of opened a window for me of of uh, of people that I didn't know. Like I don't really know Linda's history very well. I don't really know Elaine's history very well. So it kind of, the shares were very kind of authentic and not um, didn't feel like they were coming overly from a place of mind, but the mind itself is burdensome. I mean, I find myself uh, telling myself things that when I'm not even, I don't even realize that I've done it, and then realize that I've been judgmental. I think judgment comes always. It's not just uh, the judgment we have of other people. It's judgment that we feel towards ourselves. And that's the nature of the mind. And I think that um, perhaps what he's talking about is the nature of things is how we communicate with the world, and that we don't um, um, if we rely too heavily on mind, we become extremely kind of unbalanced in that, in whatever that moment is. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but um, um, I remember in that example of the line, the burdensome practice of judging. I think it was um, um, James Mraz who was talking about waiting online for a muffin, and judging everybody for how much they were taking and how they wanted to take everybody else's muffin. And I mean, it doesn't have to be really deep. It's like when we're triggered in that sense, our minds will go everywhere, every which way. And just recognizing that that's the nature of being in the world and the nature of being, and not necessarily the nature, our nature, but everybody's nature. I don't know. So, um, um, uh, I think when you're in a place of judging, you're solely in the mind, in the mind's claw, so to speak. Um, and that's a very uncomfortable place to be. And um, that's all I have to say.
So perhaps we can go on to the next paragraph, unless
Okay.
somebody else would like to share.
I'm sorry, Bettina, I'm a little confused right now. What are we considering?
Does anybody feel called to? Does anybody?
Okay, never mind. Just
Oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask if somebody would like to share the paragraph. Seems like Linda, maybe you wanted to share. I guess I wasn't unmuted.
I was just trying to ask you a question. Apparently you weren't hearing me. I don't know why. I just not getting heard here, but I just wanted to know what we're addressing here. Which paragraph are we focusing on? I'm confused. That's what I'm saying. So.
As far as I understand, it's the one that starts with, if you wish to move in the one way. I don't know. Can you all see that paragraph? Let me know if you can't. So
Why don't you read it?
I'll just go ahead and read it. Let me see. If you wish to move in the one way, do not dislike the worlds of senses and ideas. Indeed, to embrace them fully is identical with true enlightenment. The wise person attaches to no goals, but the foolish person fetters himself or herself. There is one Dharma without,
I'll tell you what the word is. Sorry. Without differentiation.
without differentiation. Distinctions arise from the clinging needs of the ignorant. To seek mind with the discriminating mind is the greatest of mistakes. Well, that's a lot to take in.
Mhm. Something I'm thinking of is the teaching that Bettina gave us a few weeks ago, pause, relax, open. And it seems like a person who lives in a state of relax and open is enlightened. Like if you really just move through the world, relaxed and non-resistant and open to everything as it is, and that's, you're free of the kilesas, the three poisons, and that's enlightenment. And so kind of you don't dislike the world of the senses and ideas. There's nothing to dislike. You don't resist the senses out of fear of attachment, or you don't resist ideas out of fear of ego or attachment there. That you just embrace it all, whatever it is, the smells, the tastes, the good, the bad, the ugly, um, the preferences, all of it. Um, to embrace it all. It makes sense to me that that would be enlightenment.
I don't know if this is speaking about this at all, but it reminds me, the first part, the first sentence reminds me a little bit about the teachings of the relative and the ultimate truth, where in the relative truths, our world of the senses, our daily life, there's still dislikes and senses, and we have to make decisions and, maybe attain goals and go about daily life. And so if we can move through that, just still knowing, okay, there's certain decisions I have to make every day, there's certain things I need to do. And at the same time, keep the mind free from attaching oneself to any outcomes. I'm not really sure where I'm going with this next part. But I feel like this first part speaks about the relative realm, sort of, that we all live in, where there's still this, where there's still things to engage with. But from there, then the opposite of that will be the ultimate realm, sort of the more spiritual realm, but I'm not really sure how that then continues to relate to the wise person attaches to no goals, but the foolish person fetters itself. So maybe the first part about the first person attaches to no goals is that you can, we still go about daily life. But we're not attaching in any way. And then the foolish person fetters himself that part I maybe need some help with to more fully understand.
I think the use of the word fetters is another way of saying attachment. Fetters is like a drawing to or attaching to. So I think it's just another way of saying that. Like his pattern is to say things in several ways. I think in hopes that something will reach us. Yeah, something will break through. But the thing that I wrestle with here and just in life generally is embracing without attachment. I think that's a dicey bit of business right there, because when you fully embrace something, how is that not attaching? I guess you have to be in the state of readiness to have it leave or go or release. That's as close as I can get to it, really. I had a long running discussion with a Buddhist friend of mine years ago about this very topic. And he was quite the womanizer, and he used Buddhism to justify that. Well, I don't want to be bogged down with attachments, he said. And I said, well, I think that's kind of chintzy, using Buddhism to just be a womanizer. I mean, be a womanizer, go ahead and do that. But I mean, I don't think you're in a holy pilgrimage about it. You're just doing that. And I said, and what a sad life with no attachment. I don't know how one lives like that. I think that there's just the human nature wants to connect deeply, even with animals or with nature, or we feel that need to blend ourselves and really connect with something on a deep level. That's the most difficult thing, most difficult concept for me. Non-attachment. May never get it fully. Kind of get it, but then not. So
I looked up fetter, and it said to restrain with chains or manacles, typically around the ankles. And I think that's what you were talking about, Bettina, just in your earlier statement. It's kind of that which holds you to a certain way of being. And I don't think that he's really talking about that way of being. So I think when Linda said, yeah, I've met many men like that who used things to justify that. I mean, I suppose I've met women like that too. I don't mean to be, but we are in a room of women, so. But but um, um, when he says a wise person and a foolish person, I think he's really relating to that person in us, not that there are, I don't know, not that there are truly wise and foolish people, but um, um, just to hold yourself to one way of being. And I kind of, to me, the idea of being shackled to the foot is like being set in your ways, kind of. Like I remember during a speech that Obama made about embracing other people's views, is we immediately think that when somebody doesn't believe in the same things that we believe in, that person is less intelligent than we are. And that's just kind of like this fundamental thing that we all do, you know. Everybody does it. It's not just, one person or another. So um, um, uh, So, um, hmm, I think what came to my mind was the idea of spaciousness, and that in a more enlightened space, there's this spaciousness, whereas um, in a space that's not like that, it's agitating and uncomfortable. So, um, uh, and yeah, I suppose you can't really take it out of context of the whole piece. So I don't know. Maybe I'm making no sense at all, but um, 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 so I suppose that fettering yourself then would be holding yourself to an idea, bounding yourself to a way of looking at the world where if you're unfettered, there's spaciousness. And certainly in times where I have felt moments of enlightenment, and there have truly just been moments, um, it feels very unfettered in that regard. So,
Just want to say thank you for that, Lauren. That was very helpful and enlightening. Maybe we can just look at this the last couple of sentences for a moment longer and see if there's maybe anything else to say about that that might be different that hasn't been addressed yet. I'm just going to read it quickly one more time. There is one Dharma without, what is that word? Differentiation. There's one Dharma without differentiation. Distinctions arise from the clinging needs of the ignorant. To seek mind with a discriminating mind is the greatest of mistakes.
I don't know. The way I look at it, the discriminating mind is biased or can be biased. So it is a mistake to look at it from a discriminated,
I'm
you know.
not going to pretend to make sense of this. It's loaded, but I feel like this one sentence speaks so much to the world we're living in right now. Distinctions arise from the clinging needs of the ignorant. And, there's a lot of theories. I've read theories recently on how our fear of death is what makes us like do this polarization where we align so fervently with one view and the people that hold that view similar to us and completely other everyone else. But this kind of explains it from a Dharma perspective, like distinctions arise, because there's distinctions within Buddhism, and maybe he was speaking to that. Maybe there was a kind of warring going on between the different schools of Buddhism, or Maybe he's using Dharma in the bigger sense, not in the Buddhist sense, but in the meaning of Dharma as the truth. So there's one truth, there's one way, there's one reality without differentiation. And distinctions arise from the clinging needs of the ignorant. I just love that. The way I'm reading it, and I don't know that I'm reading it correctly, I'm probably not, but I'm reading it as the need to cling, as opposed to the clinging needs. I'm like the clinging needs I'm reading as, you know, how ignorant people cling to whatever their view, their whatever it is that we attach to, all our fetters. And that it's through these fetters, through this clinging, that distinctions arise, that causes separation. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I kind of read that the same way. Distinctions arise from the clinging needs of the ignorant. Yeah, I mean, it was just what popped in my mind. It was the need to distinguish in relation to a clinging to an identity. Like it's comforting to us to have an identity and an in-group or what have you. And in ignorance, we do that. We bind ourselves and really cling to it without even noticing that we're clinging to it. And it's folly. I mean, and that's therein lies, comes the separation from our fellow human beings. I really, that one also really popped out to me, that line. I like that one. And yeah, I think most of the time we're so caught up in it, we don't even realize it. And I think my theory is that it's because it has to do with like identity with a certain self as opposed to the broader self, whatever.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing. And just wanted to thank everyone for being teachers this evening. And also wanted to say that if we have unintentionally caused any harm this evening with our technical difficulties, we really apologize for that. If we have impacted you negatively tonight, we apologize for that. And it might be a good learning opportunity for me to see that it might not be such a great idea for Z and I to actually be present in the same room for the Sangha, because we've encountered some technical difficulties and tried to mute ourselves and unmute, and one has to stay completely muted and the other unmuted. And I think we even not just inadvertently cut off Linda in the wrong way, but I think Elaine might have also unmuted herself at some point and we didn't see it. So really just wanted to acknowledge that if any harm was created tonight, we apologize and hope that we can move forward from here. So maybe we just check in with ourselves for a moment if you wish to have your eyes open for that, or close your eyes. But just to be really present, come present one more time, just to what is here in the body in particular. What sensations might be swirling around. whatever thoughts you might have attached to certain sensations or feelings, can you just allow the thoughts to subside and come fully present again in the moment, just noticing what's here and honoring what's here. Just honoring the tenderness of your heart and the vulnerability of a human heart, and how easy it is for all of us to hurt one another even when we don't intend to. We acknowledge the impact that it can happen. Always with an intention to live by the Buddhist principles of non-harming. And perhaps also with a sense of forgiveness and letting go. And just honoring the human expression and the human experience with the 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows in this way. So maybe we can just end this evening by taking a few deep breaths together. Perhaps focusing on the exhales of the letting go. And as you inhale, just acknowledging the human heart and the human vulnerability. And then letting go again. Opening and letting go. One breath at a time. Moment by moment. And just sending out this wish that our gathering this evening, may it have been for the benefit of all beings, and with a wish that may all beings be free from suffering, and may all beings be protected from inner and outer harm. May all beings live with ease.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much for joining this evening. It's really, really lovely to have these conversations together and sharing each other's wisdom. Really appreciate that.